The first time I saw the Nintendo Max controller, I was not impressed. Even at that younger age, I was wary of big corporations and their attempts to separate me from my money. I was more so then, as paydays were birthdays and Christmas holidays. The more expensive toys and technology of the day would be out of reach were it not for the gifts or cash received during these periods. Nintendo had a strong grip on the youth of the day back then, and kids made every effort to accrue more games for the system. So a purchase of this nature was not only a trick, but a roadblock in the path of game acquisition. Nevertheless, despite not being impressed with the initial look and feel of the controller, there were no games on my immediate radar. Items that I was interested in fell after one of the windows of opportunity to increase my collection. My intuitiveness became clouded by the child logic that money sitting idle felt wasted. The common saying for this term was and is also known as "the money is burning a hole in my pocket." A brief time later, I was the proud owner of the Nintendo Max controller. I can honestly say it changed my life. My gaming life, I mean. After all, it was only a controller in my brief 11-year existence. The ergonomic design felt great in my hands, a fact I overlooked in the brief period when introduced to the piece. Gone were the square controllers that left indentions on the sides of young, malleable fingers. Molded grooves on the backside of the grips and knobs at the top assured total control and traction. The four-direction cross gamepad gave way to a whole 360-degree range of motion. The design of the controller included elevated buttons to ensure quick, tactile cognitive confirmation of the player's selections. Two additional bonus buttons would provide turbo for the player, offering a brief respite from strenuous button mashing. These features were critical in the gaming set of that period. There was indeed no quarter given, pun intended. No participation trophies, no free plays, no feel-good game over screens. When the lives ran out, the game ended, the player failed. A gamer needed every edge afforded to them. To this end, I had made modifications to the controller of my previous gaming system, the Atari 2600. A straightforward design, one-centered rubber-covered joystick with a singular button in the upper left corner. No matter how used the controller was, it always felt stiff and sometimes unresponsive. Another downside of this rubber grip was that dogs favored it for a chew toy. Not an issue I had, but one I would take notice of upon seeing tiny puncture marks of friends' controllers. After a particularly long session of frustration in playing River Raid, I discovered the rubber grip covering could be torn from the controller entirely. The fact that the system came with two joysticks only encouraged me to continue with the dismantling. The result was a slim, white plastic stick that was far more responsive than it had ever been. The controller had painted markings around the joystick indicating the multitude of directional possibilities. The freedom of the joystick with the rubber sleeve gone now felt these directions were all obtainable. While a player may hold the controller in the left hand and adopt a whole-handed grip on the joystick with the right hand, I adopted a different method. By supporting the controller with the ring and middle finger of the left hand, the thumb was unhindered in its button-pressing duty. The index finger and pinky positioning would be on the front side and back side, respectively. This would prevent the controller from sliding forward or backwards. The right hand would use the thumb and forefinger to control the joystick, which was slimmer. The pinky on the right hand would reinforce the left pinky finger, with the right ring finger pulling double duty for the middle finger in supporting weight. The right middle finger placed on the front side of the controller provided tension that aided joystick control. I felt the need to describe the similarities in the Atari joystick and Max controllers as it adds to the story. Now to the mystery part of the story. It is rare to find any child who takes pleasure in doing homework. Any fun found in schoolwork disappears after the first few grades the child progresses through. In short, there is always something a child would rather be doing. I was more than willing to rush through any assignment given just to get it finished. As a result, I would find myself separated from the Nintendo Max controller, system, and all my games. Bad grades were the enemy of all gaming systems, along with misinformation provided to parents suggesting the damage of the prized television set by their usage. The pact given to me by my parents was non-negotiable, and I had no option but to accept. The terms were steep, usually requiring not only a return to the previous letter grade, but an additional letter grade as a good faith gesture. Being intelligent, if a bit lazy, I would succeed. but the reunion would not be a continuation of grand gaming that I expected. The Nintendo Max controller was once again in my hands, but it no longer felt like a tool that was an extension of my will. It felt alien and cumbersome, despite being the smaller size it was. To relate it to a newer type of product, it felt like the original Xbox controller. It felt as though the design was not for hands and would work against the gamer. I resolved I would need to accustom myself to the controller, once again, to perform. It was by no means worn out, the control pad button remaining in place when held upright, but the precise movements were not the same. Where the direction presses once felt immediate, now it felt as though I had to guide the red center to the desired location, losing that precision. After a more than generous amount of time, I would relent and pack away the Max controller with the glory days behind me. Throughout the years, I would find that other gamers had the same experience of loss that I did. To those reading this, it may have happened to you. Will we ever solve the mystery of the Nintendo Max?